गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। We were seeing the Hastamalakiyam, which is the Upadesham of Hastamalaka Acharya to all of us, but to his guru it was just his introduction. So he has just introduced himself to his guru with this extremely profound, extremely what do you say? It's very hard to describe how this is because of who it's coming from. It's very surprising also to everyone who's standing there, because from childhood they've just seen this child who doesn't speak, who doesn't react, who basically they've just written him off as okay, some nutcase who doesn't is probably not developed or whatever they thought it was. But then suddenly the highest Vedantic truths start pouring forth from him, and everyone is just standing there fully surprised. And how many people would have even been able to understand the magnitude or the depth of what he was saying? We don't know. And we came up to the 11th shloka, where Hasthamalaka Acharya says, Yatha Surya Ekop Swanekaschalasu Sthiraswapyananya Dvidhavya Swarupam Chalasu Prabhinnaha Sudishveka Eva Sanityopalabdhi Swarupo Hamatma. He says, there is one sun that is being reflected in many pots. That does not imply that there are as many suns as there are pots. Many parts of water, many reflections of the sun, but only one original sun. The reflections can be infinite. You can have as many pots as you can gather, that those many reflections you can have. Or if pots are too big, you get as many cups of water, then you can, have so many more reflections of the sun. But that in no way means that the sun is multiplying or that there are many suns. It just means that there are many reflections of the same sun. And what will be the size of the sun reflected here? It will be in relation to the upadhi or the reflecting medium. So it is one Atma, it is one Brahman, one Bhagavan. There is no second entity at all. There is nothing apart from that Brahman. But then where does the difference come from? It comes from all the reflecting mediums. The same Brahman is reflected across so many different mediums that it appears to be many. But then the question asks, so do you mean there are multiple reflecting mediums? Because there is a one real sun and many real pots. Is it like that? This is where in every example we will run into some problem, because in no example is perfect. The moment you start digging too much into the example, you will begin to see that that example falls inadequate. This is the same with everything. If you take our classic rope and snake example, same problem arises. But when you imagine the rope that you're imagining to be a snake, you're seeing the snake in great detail. You're saying, this is the tail of the snake, this is the hood of the snake, this is the tongue of the snake, these are the fangs of the snake. To that extent, you imagine. But it is one rope which has no distinguishing features at all. It is only one. But even the distinguishing features you have only imagined. So the multiple reflecting mediums are also a fragment of our own imagination. This is what we refer to as adhyasa. It is nothing but our own imagination, our own ignorance, which is leading to a different projection of the truth. And it is this ajnanam that needs to go away. There is nothing that needs to be attained. We are all already jnanis. There is no jnanam that needs to be attained. You are already that. You don't have to become Brahman, you are already Brahman. What is the problem? Ajnana. For that, he tells us the next shloka. Ghanachanna drishtir ghanachanna markam यथा निष्प्रभं मन्यते चाति मूढाः तथा बद्धवद्भाति यो मूढदृष्टेः स नित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. He says, when the cloud obscures the sun, we very naturally look at the sky and say, oh no, the cloud has covered the sun. But the cloud is so tiny in front of the sun. The sun is lighting up the entire solar system. And here you have a cloud which is so minuscule, like a speck of dust in front of that sun. How is it possible that the cloud can, obscure the sun in any way? The sun is still shining on the entire solar system. What is getting obscured is our limited vision of the sun is getting obscured. So what the cloud is doing, it essentially it is blinding us. It is not obscuring the sun, because nothing can obscure the sun. If a person has to stop seeing, there are two ways. One, you switch off the light, or you tie up their eyes. But what we are doing is someone has come and tied up our eyes, and we are thinking there's a power cut and we are trying to restore power. The problem is there is no power cut. Electricity is working perfectly fine. It is just that your eyes are fixed. Your eyes are tight. So you're not able to see what is going on around you. Like that, the cloud also, it just covers our vision of the sun. It cannot obscure the sun. It is only obscuring our vision. But there are some people who think this, once the cloud comes, there might be some innocent people who think that the sun has become dark now, or the sun has stopped shining. Tata baddhavad bhati. Like that, our illusion of limitedness, our illusion of bondage is also exactly like that. It is as naive as thinking that once the cloud has appeared, the sun has become dark or the sun has stopped shining. So to think that we are bound is to think that the sun has stopped shining just because a cloud is covering it. So what is all of this that we are doing Adhyatma Sadhana? It is only for Ajnana Nasha. It is not for anything else. The famous example given in Vedanta is like the missing necklace. It's called Kanta Bharana Nyaya or Kanta Chamikara Nyaya, where you lose your necklace and you're looking for it all around the house. You doubt your relatives, you doubt your family, you doubt the maid, finish doubting everyone, scolding everyone, frantically looking for it for a very long time. Then someone comes and points out and says, it's right on your neck. So what happened? You never lost the necklace. But as though the necklace was lost, there was a fear, there was an anxiety. And as though it was found, there was a joy. So when we say Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti Paramananda Prapti in Vedanta, we are not accepting dukkha. We are not saying you have fallen in samsara, therefore you need to get liberated. You are already that truth. You are already Brahman. But where is the problem? You have imagined that you have fallen down in samsara. You have this ignorance that I am a samsari, I am bound by this body, I am this person who belongs to this place. All of this ajnana we have. And when we realize that we are Brahman, what happens? Paramananda Prapti. But if nothing was lost and nothing is gained, then where did the happiness and sorrow come from? Ignorance. The necklace was not lost, neither was it found. But as though it was lost, there was anxiety due to ignorance of the fact that it is right on your neck. And as though it was found, there was happiness, recollecting the fact that you were unnecessarily anxious. So this is what a jnani experiences. Jnani looks back at life and thinks, "Oh, for all of these simple things, the truth that I was looking everywhere is right here." The truth that you're looking everywhere in the world, the happiness, the peace that you're looking everywhere in the world was right here, right on your neck. Another example given is that of spectacles. What we're doing is we're wearing the spectacles, and through the spectacles, we're looking for the spectacles. I know some people in a very, absent-minded moment, they have used the flashlight of their phone to look for their phone. In a dark room, they weren't able to find their phone, and they used the flashlight of their phone to look for the phone. And they sometimes people have many times in an absent-minded moment, they'll have something in their left hand, and they'll keep asking the person in front of them, where is it, where is it? And it'll be right in their hand. So this is the problem. we are ignorant of the fact that it is right here with us. What do I have to do? We don't have to gain knowledge, we just have to get rid of the ignorance that we are born. It is only through ignorance that we are born. It is not a fact that we are born. Because if bondage was real, then liberation would be impossible. It is only our imagination, or it is our avidya that we are bound. Therefore, once there is the light, once there is the flash of wisdom, then automatically we have become free. Or we realize that we were always free. Then Hastamalaka Acharya says, Samasteshu vastushvanusyutamekam samastani vastuni yannasprishanti viyadvat sada shuddhamachasvarupam sanityobalabdhisvarupo hamatma. It is that which pervades everything. Samasteshu vastushu anusyutamekam. Anusyutam means like a string. It just connects everything. What is that which connects every single thing in the universe? It is space. Everything is connected through space. If we imagine a string of pearls, Mai sarvam idam protam sutre maniganaiva. Bhagavan says in the Gita, Mattaf parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya Mai sarvam idam protam sutre maniganaiva. He says, apart from me, there is nothing here. Everything is connected, or it is on me. It is connected in me like the pearls connected by the string. Each pearl might be unique. Each pearl might be of a different color, of a different shape. All of that is there, but there is a common string that holds all of this together, because of which all these pearls make one necklace. Like that, there might be so many unique people, so many unique things, so many unique objects, but there is a certain string that holds all of this together in the form of one universe. And that is that Brahma, that is Chaitanya. Samastani vastuni ennasprishanti. But the interesting thing is, nothing actually touches this. Even though this is what pervades everything, nothing can taint this. Just like you can pollute air, you can pollute water, you can pollute land, but you can never pollute space. Space can never be polluted. Pollution can come only because if you run a factory for too long in one place, maybe the air around that area gets polluted, the water body in that area gets polluted, the land there gets polluted, but space by itself cannot get polluted. Because even the air occupies space, even the earth occupies space, even the water occupies space. You take away the water, the pollution is gone, you get pure space. Or you take away the air that is polluted, you get pure space. You take away the land that is polluted and you fill it with good land, you have pure land. So that space by itself can never be tainted by everything, even though it is, everything occupies space. Space is not tainted by any of this. Think about it. You keep some food on a table, right? You keep some food on a table and a little of it spills. Now the table gets tainted. So why does that space on the table appear tainted? Because the table is currently occupying that space. Now, if you move the table from that space, you don't wipe, instead of wiping the table, you temporarily move it and you look at that same height at which the table was, you will not find anything. Because the taint has gone along with the table. If you store some very dangerous chemical or some corrosive substance in an iron container, it might be the most dangerous substance. It might be something that reacts with air, whatever it may be. Once you have taken that substance away from the particular space, the place where it was kept remains untouched. The floor beneath might get damaged, the table might get damaged, the container might get damaged. If it reacts with air, there might be a particular stench that comes out of it. The fumes might come. All of that might come, but you clear out the fumes and you clean the place, and all of that happens, that space remains unaffected. So while it is all pervasive, it is also ever unaffected. All of this is just a dance happening. This is what Bhagavan says in the Gita. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutaha, अच्छेद्यो यमदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः. He says this Atma cannot be cut by weapons. It cannot be burnt by fire. It cannot be made wet by water. It cannot be dried up by air because it is non-dryable. It is waterproof, airproof, it is fireproof, it is all proof. It is samsara proof. No, how much ever there might be a movie about a big flood, but the screen doesn't get wet. There might be a movie about a forest fire, but the screen doesn't get burnt. There might be a movie about the hurricane, but even the lightest screen doesn't move an inch because of that hurricane wind. There might be a movie about the world war, but not a single bullet, not a single weapon can inflict any damage on that screen. Because it is the substratum on which all of this dance is happening. It is not the dance itself. So, this Atma Chaitanya, Viyadvat Sada Shuddhamachaswarupam, it is always pure. How is it always pure? Because the impurity belongs to something else that is occupying it. The impurity is not of space itself, it is of the object that is occupying it. So, space by itself always remains taintless. You build a building, the space is there. You demolish the building, the space is there. In fact, when you think about it, you have never lived in the same space in two moments of your life at all. Because morning, your room is facing the sun, right? The part of earth that you're on is facing the sun. Then evening, the part of earth that you're on is facing away from the sun. So the space that you call your room has actually been constantly changing since morning. The furniture might be in the same place, the walls might be in the same place, everything is right. But when you look at it from a perspective of outer space, morning you are here, evening you are here. How can you say it's the same space? How can it possibly be the same space? You have traveled some millions of miles, and then on top of that, the earth is revolving around the sun. On top of this, the sun is revolving in the galaxy. On top of this, the galaxy is revolving somewhere. So when we look at it from a perspective of outer space and we try to pinpoint the building we've been living for 50 years, it has not been in the same space for any two moments of your life. So it is just that everywhere, everything is space. You have been occupying space your entire life, but never the same space. You've been occupying a different point in space your entire life. So that space never gets affected. Now, after the Earth passes, today the Earth is in a certain position in its orbit. After it passes this point, for another year, there will only be empty space. There may be some asteroids and meteors maximum. So there will be not a single taint of all earthly activity in that empty space. Or you go to the spot which the earth occupied 10 days back, there will be no signs that show you that here earth was there. All our garbage, we're taking it along with us. We cannot leave anything behind. So this Atma Chaitanya is exactly like that. All this drama is happening in the field of consciousness, but that screen of consciousness or the field of consciousness does not get affected by anything. And you are that screen. Because we might think, well, that's good news for space and for the screen, but what about it? What should I do? How is it beneficial to me? The Upanishad says, and all the Acharya Purushas and the Vedanta, everything says, my child, you are that screen. You are that unaffected field of consciousness, that unaffected field of awareness where all of this happens. That's why Ramana Maharshi, like a Brahmastra, whatever question comes, he used to redirect it to this one vichara, ask to whom all of this is happening. You're having a problem, to whom is that problem happening? To whom is this problem appearing? You have a great joy in your life. To whom is this joy appearing? You say, I have a body. To whom is this body appearing? I have a father, a mother, a child, a husband. To whom is this child or husband or father, mother appearing? So the only question you need to ask in spirituality is to whom, not what, not how, not why. All of these questions in karma and upasana you can ask, but in jnanam there is no, in jnanam also in shastra vichara you can ask, how is this possible, how is that possible, why is this like this, why is this like this, all of this. But once you have crossed the realm of shastra and you have entered the realm of anubhava, then none of this makes any sense. It is totally meaningless to even ask any question apart from that one question, to whom is all of this happening? If you say I, who is that I? And then finally he concludes by saying, Upadhau yatha bhedata sanmaninam tatha bhedata buddhi bhedeshu tepi yatha chandrikanam jale chanchalatvam tatha chanchalatvam tavapiha Vishnu. It says, just as a crystal. This is the example, Spatikalinga, the crystal example, again very popularly used in Vedanta. One thing you will understand when you read Vedanta, especially, is that examples are extremely important. In Bhakti, stories are very important. In Vedanta, examples are very important. And essentially, if you want to understand something, you understand it through stories or through examples, it will sit in your head. Otherwise, if it's just some random concept, you might somehow cram it into your brain now, but very soon you will be scratching your head because you don't understand what is going. So, what is the example here? It is of a spatika. The spatika, whatever object you place it in front of, it appears to have the properties of that object. For example, if it is placed in front of an orange cloth, it appears orange. If it is placed in front of a blue cloth, it appears blue. If it is placed in front of a yellow cloth, it appears yellow. So, for the time being, that spatika appears yellow. It looks like a yellow spatika or a red spatika or a blue spatika. But the moment you take the cloth away, the blue color is gone. Even if you keep that cloth for 1000 years, not a bit of that blue will stick on to that spatika because it does not belong there. The crystal is always clear. In conjunction with another object which has a particular characteristic, it appears to exhibit those characteristics. It does not imbibe those characteristics. It does not inculcate those characteristics. It just appears to exhibit those characteristics in connection with this. So, what is the problem? We are trying to understand a spatika which is in connection with something else. So, if someone asks you to describe the crystal, you say it was a blue crystal. Because they pointed at it and said, this is the crystal. When you saw it, it was blue. You're not lying. It was blue. But why was it blue? Because of the cloth behind it. That you didn't notice. You just, someone said, this is the crystal. You looked directly at it and it appeared blue. So you went and told everyone, it is a blue crystal. Similarly, we point at everything and say, this is Bhagavan. We say, everyone is Bhagavat Swarupa. What do? You look at the body and say, oh, Bhagavan can't be this imperfect. When we'll point to a person and say, you have to learn to see everyone as Bhagavat Swarupa, what do? We don't look at the Bhagavan. We start looking at the body-mind complex and all the doshas of the body-mind complex, we superimpose it on the Atma. If you're saying everyone is Bhagavat Swarupa, then how can this person be wicked? Because the body-mind complex is wicked. What to do? The mind is wicked. If everyone is Bhagavan, how can people suffer diseases? The body is suffering a disease. You are seeing the body, you are not seeing Bhagavan. That is the problem. So this is why first what do? We do neti, 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 and we push everything. Why is this neti, neti, neti important? Once you understand, until you understand what pure crystal is, first you have to exclude everything else. You remove everything else from there are 100 objects in a room. From one angle, the crystal looks different. The same crystal, if in the same room there are 20 different objects and you keep a crystal in the middle of all of this, whichever angle you look at it from, it will look different because then it will reflect things from that particular angle. So what do you do first? Do neti, 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 not this, not this, not this, not this, not this. First, you see a blue crystal, you say not this. Then you see a green crystal, you say not this. Then you see an orange crystal, you say not this. Then finally, what happens? You see a pure crystal. Then you say, ha, this. Then Vedanta comes and teaches you it is the same pure crystal that appeared blue, green, and yellow. Another example for this is gold and ornaments. Gold merchant once asked his son to bring gold. He said, go to the locker, open it up, bring some gold. The son opened up the locker and he said, Appa, there is no gold. This merchant had the shock of his life because just last night he's locked a significant amount of gold in there. And he opens and he sees all the gold there. So he asks his son, what's wrong with you? Why did you say there was no gold? He said, no, but there's no gold. There are bangles, there are necklaces, there are rings, but there is no gold. Now, what is the problem here? His idea of gold is just pure molten gold. So when the same gold takes the form of a bangle, necklace, or ring, he is not able to understand. But the other side of this is also true. But then why do we do neti neti? It's because if you show him a bangle and say this is gold, he will not look at the gold. He'll look at the name and form. Tomorrow he'll look at a silver bangle and mistake it for gold. He'll look at a metal bangle and mistake it for gold. So how should it be separated? There are two things. There is a name and form called bangle. There is a substratum or raw material called gold. So first, what do we do? Someone shows a bangle and asks, "Is this gold?" First, we say no. They show a necklace and ask, "Is that gold?" We say no. Then they show us a ring and ask, "Is this gold?" We say no. Then finally, they show us some pure molten gold and ask, "Is this gold?" We say yes. This is the first step. First step is to understand that this object called gold is independent of all the names and forms and utilities associated with it. But it doesn't end here. It doesn't end at neti neti. After he has understood what gold is, pure gold, he has understood it without its connection to the name and form called bangle, necklace, or ring. Then you teach him it is this gold that takes the form of a necklace, this gold that takes the form of a ring, this gold that takes the form of a bangle. So if you teach in these two angles, Anvaya, Vyatireka, this is what we call Vyatireka is Neti Neti, Anvaya is to again reconcile everything. So first you do Vyatireka to clearly distinguish the Nama Rupa from the Adhisthana. Then what you do, you say that Adhisthana only is appearing as the Nama Rupa. This is a two-step process that is followed. Because if you only do Anvaya, he will think every silver bangle, every bronze bangle, everything is gold, which is a problem, and it's not true. If you only do Vyatireka, then even when he looks at a gold bangle, he will not realize that it's gold. So Vyatireka removes the illusion of Namarupa. And Anvaya reminds us that ultimately even Namarupa is an appearance in Brahman. There is nothing apart from Brahman. Brahman alone appears as all of these things. So all of this is the Upadhi dosha. All the imperfections, all the qualities that we see, it is all belonging to the Upadhi. Tada bhedata buddhi bedeshu tepi. That's why how the difference comes. Because we might ask, if it's the same Bhagavan everywhere, same Chaitanya everywhere, why is everyone not intelligent? Why are some people extremely intelligent, some people extremely foolish, and a lot of people in between? Why are some people extremely talented singers and some extremely talented dancers, and some people cannot sing or dance at all? Why is there so much of variety if it is the same Chaitanya everywhere? It is because the variety is in the Upadhi. And then he finally concludes with one statement where he sees the Guru also as Chaitanya. He has said, "I am that Chaitanya." Now he wants to tell the Guru, "You are also that Chaitanya." He says, "Yatha chandrikanam jale chanchalatvam, tatha chanchalatvam tavapiha Vishnu." He says, all this while it was aham, 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 aham. It is a very important part in Vedanta to do Vyatireka and to realize that you are the self. But then beyond that, you have to realize everything that you see is the self. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, that view has to come. So to show that he has that vision also, it is not that this individual called Hasthamalaka or this individual, unnamed individual in Shribali village is that he is looking at Shankaracharya and saying, "You are also that Chaitanya." Then why is this difference of me being like this, you being like that? Yatha chandrikanam jale chanchalatvam. Just like a moon appears to be dancing around in the waters of the lake, because of the ripples formed by people or because of the ripples formed by fish, it appears as though the moon is moving around, or it appears as though there are tremors on the moon, but there are no tremors on the moon. It is just the movement of the water which makes it appear like there are tremors on the moon. Says similar is your movement, he says. Similarly, that Atma Chaitanya, because of its connection with this body mind complex, is appearing to be doing Upadesha, appearing as Shankaracharya, appearing to be doing all of this for Lokanugraha, but ultimately you are not tainted or touched by any of this. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says this. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamavashtabhya sambhavami atma mayaya. He says, I am unborn. Avyayatma. I am that without any divisions. I am that without decay. Bhutanam ishwaropi san. Even though I am Parameshwara, I will take Maya under my control. And then I will appear to do Lokanugraha. This is Acharya takes this sloka and puts it right in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, and he says in the Upadghata Bhashya, Ajaha, Avyayaha, Bhutanam, Ishwaraha, and but Acharya has to add his signature word, which is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavopi san Jataha iva Dehavan iva Lokanugraham Kurvan iva Lakshyate. Even though he is unborn, even though he is eternal, as though he was born, even though he is Nitya, eternal, pure, free, and Nitya Shuddha Buddha, he is awakened pure, he is eternal, pure, awakened, and free. Even though he is of that nature, as though he was born, as though he has a body, and as though he is doing Lokanugraha, he is appearing through his own mind. This is what Acharya has said about Krishna Avatara. We can say the very same thing about Shankaracharya as well. Even though he is already free, even though he is already awakened, in connection with a certain body-mind complex, he is appearing to be doing certain activities for Lokanugraha. And with this, the glorious teaching of Hasthamalaka Acharya ends. And Acharya looks at him with so much joy, looks at him with so much happiness. Then he turns to the father and says, there is no point of him staying here anymore. Because he is pure gold. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to always give this example. With pure gold, you cannot make ornaments. You need to mix an inferior metal. With pure gold, you cannot just do make ornaments. Like that, with pure jnanam, you cannot do vyavahara. For vyavahara, little bit of ajnanam is required. Even to do upadesha, you need a little bit of that ajnanam has to be assumed. Because if the guru just feels everyone is free, what upadesha there is to do, there can't be guru upadesha also. The guru never sees the shishya apart from him. But just for the sake of upadesha, or just for the sake of satsanga, the guru temporarily thinks, okay, for now, let me just assume, let's play a game. Let's assume that all these people are ajnanis and they have come to me for jnanam, and therefore I'm giving them jnanam. This ajnanam is not natural to the guru, but for the sake of satsanga, they say, okay, let's play a game. For argument's sake, let's say you all were ajnanis and only I am a jnani. Then okay, this is what I would tell you. But the guru knows all of you are jnanis. There is no doubt about that at all. To think you're an ajnani is the problem. But he say, okay, for now, I will say, okay, I am the only jnani here. All of you are ajnani. Sit, I will do upadesha. This much of ajnanam the guru has to put on his side. But the guru, as soon as satsanga is over, he will keep it aside and walk away. He will not carry it on his head and walk around. He will just say, okay, now game is over. Now we are back to square one where everyone is Brahman, everyone is liberated, everyone is free. So Hasthamalaka Acharya is living in that pure gold state, pure jnana state where no vyavaharam is possible. To even accept another is not possible for him. Ramana Maharshi was another Mahatma who lived like this. He had a very deadly disease, cancer, sarcoma, and they sent his Purvashrama sister, Alamelu Pati, to go and tell him that if he did a sankalpa that this disease has to go away, it will go away. He is not just a jnani, he is also a siddha purusha. But he didn't accept that. He said, Tanai ulla porulai தேர்ந்திருத்தல் siddhi. He said, what is siddhi? To accept and abide in the truth that is ever shining. That is siddhi. All the other siddhi, he just said it's all magic show. But nevertheless, from the relative plane, he does have those powers. So they sent her to convince him that he should use those powers and he should, cure the body's disease. At least, if not for his own sake, for the sake of everyone around him. Then, with great hesitation, she went and told him, and he said, Mom, all that you're saying is fine, but for that, first I have to accept that there is a body. Then I have to accept that it has a disease. Then I have to make a resolve, a sankalpa within me that the disease must be cured. And he said, for so many thoughts, where will I go? அவ்வளோ எண்ணங்களுக்கு நான் எங்க போக? Said, where will I go for three thoughts? Said, on an average, we have some 16,000 to 50,000 thoughts a day. Bhagavan is saying, for three thoughts, where will I go? He used to say, "Neneppula chikkanama irukkanum." You have to be a miser where in thinking. You have to be an underthinker. But what is the problem with us? We are perpetual and habitual overthinkers. We cannot stop thinking. Some people, I'll feel their daily exercise is completed just by overthinking. How much they think, how much they think. I find it maddening. I'm a bit of an underthinker, and it gets me into a lot of troubles a lot of times, but that trouble is still worth it. I'd much rather be an underthinker who gets into trouble because he didn't think too much, rather than be an overthinker who manufactures 10 new troubles just through his thoughts. So we have to learn to calm down our thoughts. If we don't know how to calm down our thoughts, then what to do? Fill the thoughts with Bhagavan. Start thinking about Bhagavan. Start thinking about Vedanta. And Acharya gives the example in Atma Bodha, Jale Kataka Renuvat. Like, he talks about an ancient Indian filtration process where there is muddy water. So what you do, you take the powder of Kataka nut and you put it. Initially, it looks like you are dirtying the water further because this also looks a little bit like mud, and you're putting it into already muddy water. It looks like you're dirtying it further. But what happens is this seed, it goes and collects all the mud so that the mud becomes a lump, and that lump sinks to the bottom of the pot. So the water on top becomes clean and you can use it. So, like that, what Vedantic thoughts do, what Bhakti thoughts do is it might look like I already have enough things to think about. Now I have to think about Vedanta also. Now I have to think about Bhashyam also. But this thought is not like the rest of the thought. This is not a dirtying thought. This is a purifying thought. This thought purifies you. Another example Ramana Maharshi used to give is like the stick used to start the cremation pyre. In Tamil, used to say Pinanchudu Tadi. What that stick does, you light that stick, you light the cremation pyre, and you keep the stick there. That stick will cause a fire which is going to burn all the other pieces of wood, and it burns itself also ultimately. It's like we can imagine you open a matchbox, light the match, and put that one match into the matchbox. What happens is this one matchstick, the fire ignited from this matchstick will burn up the entire matchbox, and it will burn itself also in the process. It's not that this matchstick will remain. Jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Like that, this jnanam, it will go and it will start its operation inside. It will clear away all our other impure thoughts and it will start making us pure. But what to say of someone who is already purified? What to say of something who is already in that pure state? Why would you encourage such a person to harbor more thoughts? So Acharya said, for him, you don't have to send him to school. One Swami very jokingly says, why Hasthamalaka didn't speak for so many years is, he knows that if he starts speaking, they'll send him to school. So he just kept quiet, so that once his guru comes, he can go to a school where he won't be expected to speak. So the guru said, don't worry, he can be with me. This is pure gold, 24 karat pure gold with which you cannot make any ornaments. In Vyavahara, in no way will he be useful to you, but his presence will be greatly beneficial to mumukshus. There are many mumukshus who come looking for this jnanam, and just by his mere presence, he can spiritually elevate them. So let him be with me. And why does he not have any attachment? Acharya says he has no attachment because he sees everything, including the body, as external. He sees everything as external from the Atma, so he doesn't get attached to anything. What do is we internalize certain things. With our ego, we go and take control of certain things. We say, this is mine. Where does attachment come from? If we say this person has nothing to do with me, he's external to me, then attachment doesn't come. You put them into your circle and say, no, my friend, my relative, my husband, my wife, what have you done? You're not seeing them as external, you're seeing them as a part of yourself. And I was recently listening to a neuroscientist who was speaking about this. He says that's why sometimes when you get separated from a person, you feel a physical pain. If you're very, very attached to someone and that person, has to shift, or, it's a child going away for higher studies, or, someone else who's very close to you who's going away from you, it's almost as though you are feeling physical pain. And that is because the body or the mind has stopped being able to tell the difference between this body and that body. They say for tennis players, the racket becomes a part of their hand. It's like for us, we know exactly how far our hand stretches. Like that, a person who has been playing tennis for a very long time knows exactly where the tip of the racket will go. A person who has been using the sword for a very long time knows exactly where the tip of the sword is. Because over time, the body has started considering this as a part of itself. Similarly, even with people, it is very possible that the body will start considering a certain person the mind will start considering a certain person as part of this body, as part of me. And once that is taken away, it is not someone else who is gone away. There is a part of me which is ripped apart from. A lot of people say this about the situation where their children have to go abroad to study, or their children have to shift to another place. It's as though a part of me was torn and taken away. Why? Because you have internalized them. The moment the child left the womb, it is no longer a physical part of you, but you never stopped considering it so. Or on the other hand, the father has never really carried the child in his womb, but still he considers it a part of himself. So the moment he is separated from that, it's like losing a limb almost. It is like the emotional pain. The body processes it, or the mind processes it as losing a limb. That's how much pain you go through. But when you see everything as external, including this body, you see everything as external to this Atma. You see everything as not me, not me, neti, neti, and you see it that way, then no matter what happens here, you will not be affected. That is the state in which Hasthamalaka is. So Acharya says, let him come with me. There is no point of him staying here with you. With me, at least, he will be in a position where through his presence, he can elevate other mokshas.